history of Colonial Place and Riverview began at the turn of the 20th century during a period of growth for the city of Norfolk concurrent with the Jamestown Exposition in 1907, celebrating the 300th anniversary of the founding of Jamestown. This event inspired the developers of the neighborhood to discard the original name Sterling Place and rename the development Colonial Place. In keeping with the new motif, all of the east-west streets were named after the original 13 colonies. The city annexed a farming community just outside of town for this development, which became Colonial Place in Riverview. Suburban development at that time depended upon connection to the trolley system running from downtown, a connection that still exists in the neighborhood as an HRT bus route running along Newport Avenue. Colonial Place was developed on the site of a 19th century truck farm. The main farmhouse stood approximately where the northernmost traffic circle of Newport Avenue is today. Newport Avenue closely follows the old path that once led to the farmhouse. This path for many years was called Freeman's Road, named for the family who occupied the farm in the days before the Civil War. The road began at historic Lambert's Point Road just west of the parking area used by present-day Park Place Methodist Church. The Freeman farm was sold at auction in July of 1868. Years later, the corporation that developed the neighborhood purchased the farm from its last owner, Peter March, on May 8, 1903. Norfolk's suburban expansion during the early 1900s gave us Colonial Place, Riverview, Park Place, Larchmont, and all the other neighborhoods that make up Norfolk's urban west side. Previously, however, this area was a 19th century farming community, which by now is long forgotten, but hints of its existence can still be found. A lonely 19th century farmhouse still stands on Colley Avenue, and from Mayflower Road you can see it across Knitting Mill Creek near the marina. It's a white house with two distinct wings, two massive chimneys, and a huge old oak tree on the side. The house has been recently renovated and converted by its new owners, Brock and Company. By 1908, the housing boom brought on by the vibrant economy at the turn of the century began to rapidly dissipate. It remained sluggish until World War I, when the influx of military personnel and their families into Norfolk's naval base, built on the site of the Jamestown Exposition, created a high demand for middle-class housing in Colonial Place. Most of the homes standing in Colonial Place today were built during the late teens and early 1920s. Riverview, on the other hand, began its development a few years before Colonial Place. This head start proved to be Riverview's buffer against the diminished housing demand in 1908, and Riverview saw many stately homes built in the first decade of the century. By 1930, both Colonial Place and Riverview were well-established suburban neighborhoods. Residents moved in, raised their families, grew old, and eventually passed their homes on to younger families who started the cycle anew. Many homeowners today are knowledgeable of the previous owners of their homes and often possess at least a verbal, if not a written history. In the late 1960s, Colonial Place and Riverview were united by a single civic league, which through the efforts of the Stabilization Committee successfully guided these two neighborhoods through a period when urban deterioration threatened many beautiful neighborhoods. Today, these two neighborhoods continue to maintain their original charm and middle-class desirability. They are coveted by prospective home buyers for their beautiful old homes, parks, and water views, as well as for the patina of 100 years plus of history. Riverview celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2000 and Colonial Place in 2003. In September of 1999, Riverview was designated a National Historic Site and placed on the National Register of Historic Places. Colonial Place received its designation in June 2001. Finally, no description of Colonial Place would be complete without a word about Colonial Place's distinctive traffic circles. The 4 traffic circles in Colonial Place have names. A 1916 map found at the Kern Memorial Library reveals names for the parks inside the traffic circles. The northernmost circle on Newport Avenue is named the Yorktown Circle, while the southernmost circle on Newport is called the Jamestown Circle. The two circles on Delaware Avenue are called East Park and West Park. Well, that's all I have about Colonial Place in Riverview, but I hope it was enough to encourage you to take a ride or stroll through this historic neighborhood and experience its charms firsthand. Thanks for watching my video, and please feel free to contact me if you would like information on the real estate market in Colonial Place, Riverview, or any other Hampton Roads neighborhood.